I was asked to come here tonight and share my story. My story. I find that the older I get, the longer my story becomes. Okay, so I'm Anthony's wife. Anthony's over there. Hi. I'm also the proud mom of Justin and Erica, who are sitting over there too, and Shane, who's not here. He's away at school. I'm also the daughter of Carol and Creflo. I am the sister of Ron and Marcus. I'm a college graduate. I'm also a law school graduate. I'm a former JAG Corps officer. I'm a judge currently sitting on the 61st District Court here in the city of Grand Rapids, and I'm a proud alumna of GRPS. Go Ottawa! Ottawa! Woo! I am Christina Elmore. Reflecting on my life's journey and how I got to this point has been a trip down memory lane. Some funny, some uncertain, but most of all, stories that built and shaped who I am today, standing before you with a story in my heart. Each piece of my story is a unique building block of my life. Together, each moment in my life shared by my family and my friends, and each unique experience brings me here today and continues to build on my path. My journey, like many, is filled with twists and turns. Each uphill climb seemed to be paired with a barrel roll here and a barrel roll there. But each sudden drop or sharp turn strengthened my will to conquer and persevere. My GRPS education began at Iroquois Middle School. It is also where I dabbled a little bit in entrepreneurship and genetics. Okay, so it was 8th grade biology. All right, so you know the time of science experiments and hands-on learning, which for students can be an exciting time to navigate one's interests. My interests at the time, well, I was and I still am an animal lover. And my bright idea in 8th grade was to find out what color babies would be born if I bred a white mouse and a black mouse. So setting about my exploration, I brought home 2 mice to create their litter. And after about 20 days or so, I came home to a cage of now 12 mice. So for all of you genetics buffs out there, you know I really had a very successful science experiment. There were 5 white babies, as it turns out, 4 black and 1 brown. So that's pretty interesting, right? Say, all right, I learned something. And then those offspring created offspring, and so on, and so on. And the extended mouse family really quickly outgrew their cozy home, right? So, and I mean, who knew that mice could multiply exponentially like that? I had no idea. So I didn't plan that far ahead, but so here I was, 8th grade and breeding mice in my dad's condo. And thank God, my dad, who's not here, he was always supportive of my curiosities. But here were all these mice in their cramped and crowded living space, and they were getting more and more cramped with every passing day, getting bigger and growing and growing. So I had to do something to remedy the situation, and fast. So thanks to some quick thinking and ingenuity and problem-solving skills, my somewhat hidden, at the time, entrepreneurial side kicked in, and I had a light bulb moment, right? Okay, so other students would also love to have a mouse or 2 as lovely pets, right? So I decided I needed to capitalize on this market, and I put a few mice in a shoebox. And I left my favorite ones at home, right, because those are mine. And I took to working the school bus and lunch hour audiences, and I sold my mice, okay? So I'm sure some of you parents out there are shaking your heads like, oh, I'm glad you're not my kid, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that experiment, from genetics to multiplication, and who would have thought that an underground mice market existed in GRPS? I bet you didn't know that, Superintendent. You didn't know. And I had it cornered at the time, so that was building block 1. okay? And then my sophomore year at Ottawa Hills High School was brimming with experiences to leverage my obvious love for animals with my desire to become a veterinarian. Gratefully, through a GRPS program, I was partnered with a local veterinary hospital, and after school, I worked at this veterinary hospital. Actually, it's the Animal Hospital of Kentwood, which just so happens to still be open today. But after school, I worked there as a veterinary assistant, which meant that I was responsible for assisting with the animals during examinations and vaccinations, and I even had a front seat for various surgeries. Some were minor, some major. And it was through this hands-on experience that I learned more about myself and what I wanted for my future. And I learned that my future no longer included my lifelong dream of becoming a veterinarian. That was supposed to be the sad part of my story, or one of the sad parts. So that I thought it was sad at the time, and sure, it probably was pretty sad for me, but to be given that opportunity to be involved with something that I was sure was my passion, and to realize it really wasn't before going off to school to pursue it was infinitely better for my future. And I learned a lot about responsibility from that experience, going to this job every day, even when I didn't feel like it sometimes, and also doing things that weren't always fun or interesting. So that was building block number 2. In an effort to dodge my dad's job transfer to Rochester, New York, my senior year, I chose to graduate early. Even though it meant I would have to take Spanish and French at the same time in order to satisfy the foreign language requirement at the time, I wanted to complete high school at Ottawa Hills and move on then to the next chapter in my life. And having had the opportunity in middle school to take high school level classes and GRPS's willingness at the time to work with and support me, I was able to accomplish just that, and I graduated as a junior. With my high school diploma and my great grades and my bags packed, I moved on to the University of Michigan. Sure, Ottawa Hills prepared me for college, but I didn't have the best study habits, so instead of studying, I found myself determined and driven to attend every party I can go to. So obviously that was not conducive to success at college, and so after my second year at the University of Michigan, my grades were so bad that I received a DNR. So it's not do not resuscitate, but it's do not return, right? So they were like, you take your parties and your bad grades and get out of here. So I got a do not return, and I was devastated, but I was determined. There was no question in my mind that in order to succeed in life, I had to finish what I started. And I arrived next to the admissions office of Washtenaw Community College and enrolled there. And during my time at community college, I was forced to reckon with my poor decisions from previous semesters, and I put my energy towards working hard, and I was able to achieve all A's. Armed with those new grades, my determination and perseverance, I petitioned the University of Michigan to allow me to come back to school. And thankfully, they graciously accepted me back. And I set about returning, driven to succeed. 2 years after my return, I graduated a proud Wolverine from the University of Michigan from the College of Literature, Science, and Arts. Go Blue, yeah. Thank you. That was building block number 3. After school, I got a job and began working, but I still didn't know where I was going with my life. It wasn't until my dad approached me one day and asked me if I ever thought about going to law school. I hadn't, but I decided to go ahead and try it. And it turns out that my ability to make the case, my resilience, and my determination paid off, and I found out that that was where I belonged. Directly after law school, and much to my parents' horror, I joined the military. And I became a Judge Advocate General, a JAG officer for the United States Air Force. Trust me, after serving in that position for 5 years on active duty and 8 years in the reserves, It is not as sexy as it's portrayed on television. Believe it or not, it really isn't. But that experience set me on my path to where I am now, which is sharing my story with you. When you combine all of my experiences, each one, whether they were built in through curriculum, like my science experiment, or those cause and effect consequences of my wayward ways, they all made me who I am today. It is in those experiential moments where you realize a passion or feel moved by what resonates within you. They are those times combined when you make mistakes, but you make the most of them. It is those building blocks that made me the wife, mother, daughter, friend, and judge that I am today. Thank you. And I want to also say that the Grand Rapids Public Schools has had a huge impact on my life and continues to do so. In fact, whenever I have the opportunity, I go talk with students about my job as a judge. I talk to them about the United States Constitution and about their rights. We can say what we want about this generation with their social media, with their seeming lack of desire to want to learn to read or write cursive, at least that's my kids, with their emojis and speaking in LOLs and OMGs. You can say what you want about them, but they are brilliant, okay? And it is important to me to reach out to these students because when I was their age and in school, I had no idea where my life would take me. Yet it meant a lot when someone showed interest in me, and even more meaningful when they looked like me. I care a lot about GRPS students, and I want most of all to see them all succeed in whatever path they choose. As GRPS alumni, as a city, as a community, how dare we not contribute to their success? How dare we not give of our time, our resources, and invest in building our students up? After all, the future of Grand Rapids is in their hands. They are awesome, they are watching, and most of all, they are worthy. Thank you all.